I found Jordan Peterson to be a very interesting character. The way you could describe him is that he is a individualist and a liberal, which means that the perfect society in his vision is a society where the government leaves people alone as much as possible, and people are capable of handling themselves and their family. In other words, the way I would describe individualism is have a person be able to take care of themselves without the help of the government, be able to think for themselves without the help of fact checkers, be able to have their life pretty much without the need of government intervention. Or at least minimize the government intervention as much as possible, right? And on the opposite side of the scale, you would have collectivism, which is all about waiting for the government to help you, having teachers as your second mother, trust institutions more than you trust your family, pay as much taxes to the state. And the problem is that I don't think individualism is represented in the political scale almost at all. I mean, both the left wing and the right wing parties, they're in favor of the welfare state. They're in favor of making people dependent on the government as much as possible. So people like Jordan Peterson don't really have a place in the political conversation. And because of that, he decided to quit his tenure, because without tenure, he would have been fired long ago. And he decided to quit his tenure on January the 19th. He says that diversity, inclusion, and equity is demolishing education and business. Now, the jargon that the left uses is very deceiving, right? Because when you say you're against diversity, it might sound like you're against a company hiring people that are non-white. But this is not what diversity really is. Diversity is hiring apparatchiks. It's hiring the political commissars that indoctrinate the correct thinking of a company. And the correct thinking is critical race theory. Now, a lot of people can't describe what critical race theory is, and people on Twitter, especially blue checkmark, go like, if you can't describe it, then how can you be against it? And it's like, okay, well, I don't know how to describe radioactive waste, but that doesn't mean I want it next to my house. I don't know how snake venom works at the microscopic level, but that doesn't mean I want to get bitten by a snake. Just because you can't articulate something doesn't mean you can't have an innate intuition that it might not be good for you. But okay, I can actually describe what critical race theory is. I can give it an accurate description. It is a belief system that the nation state you're in is inherently evil because it is inherently racist, and it was created by white people for white people. That's what critical race theory is, right? So immediately it excludes the idea of being right-wing or conservative, because why would anyone want to conserve such a system? And the interesting thing is that this CRT being a conspiracy theory, it's also so different than the other conspiracy theories because the conspirators don't even know that they're conspiring. Because this is what inclusion is about. It's about the concept that you need to wake people up. So you need to wake up minorities to the fact that they're being oppressed, and you need to wake up white people to the fact that they're being oppressors. Because they don't know about it. Like they're conspiring into this system without even talking to each other. And then equity is about taking stuff from people that have and giving it to people that don't. So, like, for example, if you have a person that studied hard in order to get into a university, they might not get in because they're not the correct skin color, which is discrimination. So this is what Jordan Peterson is against, right? He's not against, like, having people of different backgrounds in the university. He's against discriminating just because of their backgrounds. He is against the idea that Canada is an evil place. He is against the idea that there is this conspiracy going on in order to keep people down. And he had enough. He decided to quit on January the 19th. And I expected that it's going to be it for a while, but apparently events in Canada are forcing Jordan Peterson out of hiding. So you got the trucker protest, which is insanely polarizing. On one hand, you have people from the rural areas that are supporting the Freedom Convoy. And on the other hand, you have the people from the cities that are calling them literally every possible label imaginable. They've been called white nationalists, they've been called terrorists, they've been called like literally everything. I mean, just so you can understand, the level of ridiculousness that the conversation is going, listen to this.
How much vitriol do we have to see of Hong Kong, which is an acronym for Hail Hitler, do we need to see by these protesters on...
Now, I think it's painfully obvious that absolutely no one, I don't think that even people on the left who are against the protest believe that honking is a dog whistle for National Social. No one believes that. But that's the type of rhetoric we're at now. And there was another type of rhetoric that the GOP, yes, the United States of America, has its right-wing party funding money into white supremacist organizations in Canada. It's like, why? Why would they do that? Like, if you were to... Like, first of all, why would they even try to destabilize Canada, which is their ally? And they do economic trade with them. Like, how would the United States benefit from a weak Canada? And secondly, this is more important, if you wanted to do that, why wouldn't you, like, give money to, I don't know, like, Quebecian separatists or something? Like, why would you give it to, like, the fringest of the fringe, the most small minority of people in Canada? So I'm watching this, you know, and I see Trudeau is getting emergency powers, which is very interesting, because initially he said it's just, like, a small number of bigots, just a couple of truckers, but apparently he needs emergency power to deal with a handful of truckers. Like, imagine if a large number of truckers would have appeared. Like, what would he do then? If he needs emergency power for a handful. Right? So none of this makes sense, which is what Jordan Peterson is being stressed about. And then you can see him on his little Twitter going like, fuck you, this and fuck you, that. Like, one of the things that I noticed with Jordan Peterson is that he never curses. And he's very politically correct when talking. But I guess this is why he probably has the star. Insurrectionist terrorists are regrouping. Outside influences usurping our sovereignty. Why? Like, naughty deska. So it's just like very entertaining to watch his Twitter account. Like, this is a new Jordan Peterson. I call it like the Jordan Peterson 2.0. I'm really curious to listen to some of his speeches and future videos. Like, I want to see how an angry Jordan Peterson looks like. I want to see what he says when he is unleashed. Jordan Peterson Unshackled should be a new book. I'm really curious, like, if any of this changed his ideology, and if so, in what way. It's going to be really, really interesting to read his Twitter and watch his videos in the upcoming days, especially when things get worse. And by the way, it is interesting for Trudeau saying that the past years have been painful and now it's time to work together, when he didn't even listen to the protesters. Not for 1 second did he sit down with any of his citizens to listen. Not to do what they say, not to give in to their demands, but at least listen to the demands. Not for 1 single second. I guess this is a more progressive way of doing politics. You know, you just use the Twitter way of politics. Oh, don't like them? Share a block list. Just put them on block. And eventually the problem will go away. And also very interesting that some of these emergency powers are going to be permanent. Of course. I mean, look, nothing is more permanent on this world than a temporary government solution. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.